Hey, Dr. Erin here at Focus TV Network in West Hollywood. And if you are anybody that desires love and connection, romance, or all the above, you don't want to miss this show today because we have April Beyer here, right here in the studio.
Hi.
Yay! We're so happy to have you here today.
Thanks, Erin.
Yeah, so I know you're an incredible matchmaker. I don't know the whole industry that much, but you get around as one of the best of the best.
Great.
So it's good. It's all good things out
Thanks,
there.
thank
In the
you.
hood, in the ethers.
I love it. Thank you.
So, wow, what a time in history to be a matchmaker with all the things in the news and so much turmoil around love and sex and
Yes.
everything. How are you receiving all this?
It's been crazy at the office, hearing from the women and the men as well. People are scared, and people were fearful before all of this started happening. And now it's like people are kind of starting to get back into their shell again. And online dating is creating such white noise and chaos and self-doubt. So I have to deal with all of that at the exact same time. So in the traditional matchmaking model, you got to take people out of that function of that fear.
Right? And it's almost like, because you're not dealing with millennials, you're dealing with probably midlife and upper.
Like women and men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and
Yeah.
beyond. Yes.
And so I would imagine that you're dealing with kind of old school, kind of traditional dating versus kind of the swipers out there, right? So
Right. So, well, I watched, so much. I watched the arc of online dating happening in my 20-year career, and I saw a need, and I saw these problems, and I saw what was going on with people, and how these apps were really supposed to create more of a connection for people, and what it's done is actually disconnected people. So I launched a company called Level, and it's about bringing the ease of online dating to the privacy and the offline environment of personal matchmaking.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
the swiping thing is completely insane. I mean, and from what I hear, it's like they're trying to even get a date or a coffee or whatever, and people are so ADD all over the place, they can't even actually make a true connection, even just to come together for a coffee.
Exactly, because there's so much product, right? And now that women are doing it too, women are becoming more visual, more superficial. And there was a time when we used all of our senses, right? We met a guy and
Yeah.
we used it the way he made us feel and how he sounded to us and the way he touched our hand. And now women are swiping based on an image, a very flat, one-dimensional
Right,
image, and that's
right.
cheating us as women out of what we're so good at,
Right.
which is using all of those senses to know someone.
So I don't want to spend too much time on kind of the pitfalls of dating today, because I think everybody knows it.
Yes. Yes.
It's not like anything new. We know
Yeah.
this. It's kind of insane out there. Everyone's a little bit lost. There's so many options, and yet people aren't really connecting. And I truly feel that even if you are married, even if you are in a relationship, you're always courting your partner anyway. You're always having the same things as communication skills and upsets and making up and all that fun stuff. So I want to make sure that we get to the best information that you have, because you're an expert and master in officially matchmaking. So I want to know, someone comes to you, they're like, okay, whether it be a man or a woman, I want to know, what is it that you do? Like, how do you go, okay, so this is the game plan, or how does this work for people?
What I normally do is create a strategy. So if I'm sitting down with a woman or a man, I've got to know background. I have to know family environment, how they grew up, what their values are. And what's fascinating to me is not that many people know what their values are. They kind of know what I call their high-level values, but their day-to-day values. So one of the questions I begin with is, where do you spend your extra time, money, energy, and resources? So like it or not, my time and energy is going into my family, my husband, my dogs, my business.
Gucci shoes?
No, actually not.
I'm joking.
I wish.
That's a great question, though, to know your values. And I do that,
Yeah.
as teaching energy work and kind of how we use our minds for good. It's really like, where do you spend your time?
Yeah,
Where
you
do you
could-
spend your money? It's
you
really
could
simple what you value.
Exactly. Like we
right?
could say, well, I really value fitness, but if I had more time, I'd be doing it. Well, you're not doing it. So it's
Yeah.
not a big ticket value item for you. So we begin there. We begin with family relationships, friendships, the kind of people you have around you. What do you love about your friends? What do your friends love about you? And then during that interview, I'm able to distill and refine and figure out what that person's values are, even if they don't really know themselves.
It's really
and
good.
that's where I go. So I'm always about inside out. So I figure out like what's under the hood, do these two people need each other? Can this other person celebrate the other person's good points? Are they in their dating blind spots? So it really does feel like this 2-hour long strategy session of where to go. And then we have to marry that obviously with, physical chemistry,
Right.
physical wants, because that's a big part, right? No one should ever have to settle, but I don't think you're settling unless you are completely divorcing yourself from your values and your
Right.
morals and your principles.
So I have a question for you from consciousness, because as a doctor of divinity, I know that beliefs, oftentimes will have a new relationship, but it's playing out kind of the same theme of people's lives. So I know as a matchmaker, I'm sure you're hoping and holding the potential for the highest, greatest love for somebody. And yet at the same time, you kind of have to be realistic. Like, what are their patterns in relationship? What are their limiting beliefs? What's holding them back?
Yes.
Do you deal with that at all? And how do you deal with that?
All day, every day.
Yeah.
Especially with men, because I've always worked directly with a male clientele. So for me to work with them, I have to become their friend. I have to become their confidant first. I'm very direct with them, and the kind of men we work with appreciate that. But I have to come in sort of through the back door first before I can really start accessing that and saying, look, this is your old way. We have a saying in my office, how's that working out for you? Right?
I got that one, yeah. That's a good one. Fascinating that you're creating
Yeah,
that, yes.
exactly. So I don't want people coming to me and sort of spitting out a needs and a wants list, because it's prefab, right? It's
Yeah.
based on those old patterns and those old beliefs, and they don't work anymore. They're broken. So we do have to kind of wipe the slate clean, still taking that information and building on it,
Yeah.
right? Because we have to. None of us can erase our past. Not all of us were dealt the great mother and father card or the good family card or great upbringing and beginnings, and that's okay. We can build on that, but at least we have to have some kind of awareness of what it is. And then it's my job, when there's that sore point, to make sure I don't match them with somebody that exposes that or pokes at it, that they can actually receive it and thrive in a relationship with somebody that has those patterns,
You have to
and
be
slowly
really,
get them over it.
really advanced in your intuition and in your ability to just witness. I'm sure you just have become a master of human behavior. You can just smell it a mile away. I'm
You
sure if
can.
you have been interviewing so many people for a couple hours at a time, and then you watch their patterns out there. What a masterful, fun, and development of yourself as an expert in your arena.
Well, you know this. I mean, when you've developed your instrument and it becomes so finely tuned, you feel things so fast. And it's hard because the matchmaking space, although it sounds so beautiful, and it is, has this very superficial tone and feel to it. Because oftentimes somebody will go to a matchmaker and suddenly you're thought of as a modeling agent. And that's
Right.
not what I'm about, right?
Right.
I'm trying to relationship hunt and solve problems and build out a future and de-risk someone's future so that they don't marry the wrong person.
I love that.
Because it's taxing, right?
I know,
It's taxing
right?
emotionally, financially, divorce is. So I have to think 10, 20, 30 years down the line when I'm matching people.
Wow. Well, we have to take a break. But what I want to do when we come back, I want to actually, I know you probably don't like to make fun of your clients per se, but I want to know what are the do's and don'ts of first dates or courting. I want to know what you really give some recommendations and tips out there. Okay, so
Sure.
Stay tuned, you guys, as we dive into the master here. She's going to tell us the do's and don'ts. We really want to hear those. I want to hear those anyway. So stay tuned. Dr. Erin here, Doctor of Divinity, teaching universal laws and spiritual truth. And I am thrilled to announce the new show on Focus Television right here in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. Join us weekly as I interview incredible people, celebrities to your next door neighbor, you name it, your girlfriend. We're going to dive into such topics as love and relationships, health and vitality, business and money, and creative expression. And I'm thrilled to just go on this awakening journey with you as we tap into meditation, visioning processes, intuition, and all the above. So stay tuned as we do this together. Hi there. I hope that you're enjoying this great conversation. I'm here at Focus TV Network in West Hollywood, America's first streaming video talk network. And I want to hear your story. We would like to showcase your story about consciousness, awakening, and spirituality. So you can reach out to me at below. You'll see right here my email and all of our contact information. We want you. Now back to the show. And we're back with April Beyer, matchmaker extraordinary. Right here, we are talking about the do's and don'ts of dating, like first dates. I mean, you have a sophisticated group, but we want to hear the do's and don'ts.
Well, even with a sophisticated group, people still make mistakes, right? Insecurities come up on a first date, so there's a tendency for men especially, and women too, to talk about what they've accomplished and what they've done. There's a tendency to talk about people that aren't at the table. So if I'm meeting you for the first time and I'm talking about somebody in my family or somebody from my past, I'm now having you assimilate and distill and basically be able to process all of this information, not only about me, but about this other person that you're maybe never going to know in a million years. So the biggest mistake is talking about events, people and places that have nothing to do with what is happening in that moment.
I am so glad you say that. I mean, I love when someone tells a story, but when they tell stories,
your eyes glaze over
all the time, and you're like, this is the 10th story that I don't really care about.
Yes.
Like, it's entertaining, but I don't really care about this. I want to get to know you.
You, right? Exactly. So for me, it's don't storytell, share. And there's a big, giant gap between those two. And communication is audience based. If you see the person that's sitting across from you starting to vaguely slip away, you're gonna have to change and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm talking a lot about this person that you're probably never gonna know in a
When they
million
start
years.
falling asleep and they start falling over, you're like, I think I should maybe not tell so many stories.
Right. And for men, I think they love to ask a woman, especially if they meet a woman that's beautiful and accomplished and she seems like such a catch. Their number one question is, why are you still single? Now, it's a compliment. It's actually threaded in something really beautiful. But as a woman who is still single is receiving that information, and instantly she's insecure and she feels put down by this. So it's better to say, I can't believe I'm so lucky to have met you. You're still available. Wow, lucky me.
That's great advice. I love that.
Yes.
Did you hear that, you guys? Don't ask why a woman is still single. Ask or say that you're so excited to just have that opportunity. That's great advice. I actually have never heard that one. I've heard a lot of do's and don'ts of dating. That's really fantastic. What else?
And for women, let me think. For women, men are, and women are too, obviously. We're all busy, we're professionals and such. The world is spinning faster than ever before. When you go on a date with a man and he's already been at the office for 10, 12 hours usually, if you're going to sit across from him and ask him thinking questions or factual-based questions, that's exactly what you're going to get back. And there won't be that chord of emotional intimacy, which is what every great date needs.
So what do you mean exactly? So if I'm like on a date and I'm like, so what do you think of the quantum physics of whatever versus?
Yes, and what did you think of that restaurant in Paris? And boy, did you see the Dodger game the other night? It's nice, but it's facts. And what it does is it gives people this false illusion that they had a really great date because they had a lot of stuff to talk about. A great date isn't about how much content. It's about the depth of the content. So instead of asking a man what he thinks about something or anything that is fact-based, like how long have you had your office on such and such street, asking him feeling questions, right? Like if he's divorced, instead of saying what happened in your divorce, which is about facts, say, how are you feeling since? How's it been? How are the kids?
Oh, nice.
Right?
Beautiful.
Well, my father died last year. How have you been since dad died? What did your dad mean to you when you were growing up? Suddenly that man, and a woman too, is having this emotional experience. And guess what? Even if that woman or that man is not the physical ideal, that other person is waking up the next morning and going, gosh, I'm thinking about this person and I don't know why.
Wow,
And
yeah.
it's because they had an experience, which is what's missing on most dates. People think it's about fun and flirting and casual, light, hipster conversation, which it can be, and that can be really fun. But you're forgettable in that way, and you're memorable when you can create an emotion.
I love that. Speaking of which, supposedly 75% of our population is feeling lonely at some point in time during the week. So when people come to you, are they seeking companionship, or are they seeking, I would imagine they're not necessarily seeking families as much because they're a little bit older, or what is the primary reason people are coming to you?
All of it. You know, I've created a lot of families. So I have young men coming to me wanting their first family. I have men coming to me post-divorce. Maybe they've been single out there for 5, 7, 10 years and they want a relationship again. Everybody wants to just jump straight from I'm lonesome and isolated to find me the love of my life. And there's a bridge, right? There's a connector in between there. So they don't come to me for companionship, they come to me for love and marriage. And even though I'm a matchmaker and a dating coach, I'm not exactly wedded to weddings. I'm more interested and compelled and fascinated by how can I help people find themselves first and then find connection and collaboration with someone else, regardless of the outcome of that relationship. So it could be a 5-minute relationship. It could be a date that didn't go into romance, but a beautiful friendship was inspired from it. I'm actually not attached to the outcome.
Interesting.
So I don't want my clients to be either. It's a big fat mistake for people to do, whether they go to a matchmaker or they're dating online or they're meeting through friends. The reason why a date is disappointing is because you thought in your head that it was going to be the one, and it's not the way to go. So
I couldn't agree more.
I say come to me for companionship and the rest will follow.
So like no projecting way into the future. Are you enjoying it? Does it work? And is it really enjoyable?
How'd you feel?
Yes,
Instead of going
completely.
through your checklist of, yes, he or she was what I was looking for, check, 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 no, off the book. You know, you would spend months trying to find a business partner, but in 45-minute to an hour-and-a-half date, you're suddenly saying, you know, she's not the one, he's not the one.
Right.
Give each other some time, let it
Completely.
grow.
I
Start
agree.
with a connection, start with a friendship. The love and the romance and the sexual chemistry, that will happen if it's destined, right?
I agree.
And so sometimes I don't know why I'm matching two people. It feels like somebody's like pulling at my skirt and saying, yes, April, get those two together. But I don't really know where that's going to go.
I love that. I want like a reality show around your life. It's a so bad
My
thing.
life is a reality
Right?
show.
Okay, so we have to take another break. But when we come back, what I want to know, because I think probably a lot of people want to know, is what is it? What are the qualities? What are the qualities that people like and don't like? Because I'm sure you get a lot of feedback, and I'm sure people out there dating and maybe are going, what is it? You know, what is it that people want? We don't even know anymore. So when we come back, I want to talk about what are the qualities people are really seeking beyond just looks and all those check marks we were just talking about. Okay, so stay tuned, you guys, as we get it from the expert. And we are back with our final segment with April Beyer. We're talking about the qualities. What are people seeking? What are they really, when they come back from those dates and they say, I like this or not so much? Like, what was it? What's the feedback?
Well, what's interesting is when I was creating my new company with all the technology, I actually went through dozens and dozens and hundreds of profiles and what people had asked me for, what their deal breakers were, what their must-haves were. So there's definite things that stand out. The number one thing for men is nurturing, right? But that doesn't mean mommy. So the number one quality that all men are looking for on that first date is they sensed a nurturing quality in her. She was kind, she was compassionate. And not a lot of people think about the word compassion when they go out on a first date. We think of compassion when we think that there are people in need. We think compassion for our friends and our family or those who are suffering. But we don't think of compassion towards a person that is maybe going to be somebody that you're going to know for an hour and a half on a date, right? We don't know what that person had to handle or what they went through before that date. Something might have gone awry in their afternoon and you're just judging them and you're taking a snapshot of them in that moment, right? So compassion, nurturing, kindness, sweetness, the warmth. And when I say flirting, I mean more of the authentic kind of flirting. You know, when you're a nice woman and you're dressed beautifully and you feel great and you're kind and you throw a man a compliment, in his mind, that's flirting, right? You don't have to be overtly sexual to kind of send the signal. And for women, the few questions and the responses we get are, they don't want a man to talk about himself. They do want the man that is a listener, that inquires. They want a man who listens for the answer. They want somebody who is protective. When you poll like thousands of women over the years, as I have had, the number one feeling that women want to feel is safe. which goes back to what we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier with
for sure.
everything that's going on right now in the news, right? We want to feel safe. So even if a man is not a woman's ideal type, if he can make her feel that sense of protection and that feeling of safety, maybe it was getting her an Uber, calling her to make sure she got home okay, having the waiter come over and give her more water, whatever that was, that did give her that feeling of safety, which makes her generally want to see him again.
I agree. And I love I always use the distinction of with the first part, you're talking about how a woman wants a man to listen. I always think about someone being interesting and interested. And
Right.
it's like a nice game of whatever, tennis in the conversation. And it's a real fine line when you're, dating especially, right?
Well, I mean, there's no time like the present, right? So if you're revealing and sharing and not storytelling, and you're minding the store and you're looking across at the person and realizing if you've lost them or not, there's nothing that you can say or ask that could hurt that date in any way. That's just fear. So people take their critic on their dates, and their critic is yammering at them all night long, right? But if you're thinking about yourself on
Maybe
a date,
it's how you ask it. They're like,
it's
where
how
did you
you
get that
ask.
dress? Ah.
Exactly. There shouldn't be anything wrong with a man saying, you look beautiful,
Right, yes.
But we have to take the time to receive that compliment. Maybe it was hard for him to say that. Yes, it's not what we ask, it's how we ask it that matters the most. I mean, I don't think that there's any topic that's off limits.
Yep. And I think what's fascinating also is that I think a lot of men really want relationship. I think there's a myth that women think, oh, men don't want, they want to play, and I'm thinking, have you opened your eyes? I'm seeing like most men I know want relationship. There's some that don't, but majority of them want relationships. So I
Yes,
think
they
it's
do.
so beautiful.
This is why I work for men. I mean, men are so easy to figure out. My mom used to say, never be intimidated by a man or fear a man, because men are just little boys taller. You have a son, right?
Yeah.
So, I heard that growing up. And when I meet with my clients and I sit in their living rooms and we do fireside chats or sitting on their balcony, the romance in them is palpable. These men they're very emotional when they're relationship ready and they can't find it. They're just as frustrated as women are. I mean, heck, I wouldn't have a business if men weren't interested in romance, right? And I think women think that they have the market cornered on love, but men actually fall in love faster than we do.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm
So
gonna
they're
cry
out there.
right now. It's so sweet. And I just think also it's like some people go, that's weird to pay for matchmaking. I'm thinking, no, it's not. Like, this is a valuable aspect of your life. And I'm sure that there's people that they invest in their companies, they invest in all this stuff. Why would they not invest?
Well,
in
why,
this?
I have headhunters for people in my organization, right? So it's about, we're not trained how to qualify people. And when we are, it's very visible and off-putting on a date. So I think people think that matchmaking is paying for the person. It's not. You're paying for the expertise and the resourcing and the network and the data and the science behind what we do that can get you to where you want to be faster in a much more expeditious and safer and more rewarding way, right? Why not take the shortcut?
Yeah. Okay, so how can people find you? Because I'm sold. Like, you have this presence about you that I would feel like so safe with you. You have this real expertise, very gentle, very loving, and I'm sure so many people just probably love that, coming in a safe, it's a vulnerable place to come
Very
to that, right?
vulnerable,
So how do people find you?
They can find us at levelconnections.com or at aprilbeyer.com.
And this is new. You had
Yes, I've been a matchmaker, a traditional personal matchmaker for 20 years, and then I basically kind of wanted to disrupt the dating industry, and I created Level to solve the problems of online dating, but also bring personal matchmaking to more people.
Great. So you brought more technology into it and the personal.
Yes, in an offline, safe environment.
Great,
yes.
awesome. Oh, I'm so excited, and
thank you.
I just keep talking for like 2 hours, so we're gonna have to do another
one.
interim. So So anyway, you guys, so check her out, look her up. I would really consider this. I think that there's certain types of people that are really meant for matchmaking, and if you're gonna go that route, this is an incredible woman. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I think it's so great. Your work is so beautiful.
Thank you.
We want people to love each other.
We want this.
Thanks, you guys. Take care. Have a divine day, and may you live your truth.